So now that we've created our losing screen, the next thing that we want to do is go ahead and code it. So to start off, we're going to go into our yellow events tab, and we're going to use when I receive green flag. The next thing we're going to do is go into looks and hide it, since we don't want it to show up automatically. The next thing we want to make sure is that it shows up above everything. So we're going to add a go to front layer, a go forward one, and we're going to change the 1 to 100. So now that we have that, the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is go into control and go and add a forever. So this forever is going to constantly check for something to happen so that we know when to show our losing screen. So the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is go into our operator, and we're going to use a less than symbol. Almost forgot. Before that, we're going to go into control and add an if then. And now inside of this if, we're going to add that less than symbol that we got from our operators. And we're going to add it right here. So what this is going to check is if our player's health is less than 1. So if it's 0, since 0 is less than 1, then we want it to show. If it's not, then it will never run this code. So as long as the player's health doesn't go below 1, they're able to still play the game. So on the empty bubble, we're going to go in our variable tab, and we're going to add our player health bubble. We're going to go ahead and change this to 1. The next thing we're going to do is inside of the if, we're going to go into looks and add a show, since we want it to show up. And we're also going to add a new broadcast. So we're going to go inside of the yellow events tab, and we're going to broadcast. We're going to click on green flag and type in a new message, and we're going to type in lose. We're going to click OK. So if you guys remember, when you added the winning screen, we had a broadcast win, and the win was supposed to stop everything from playing. That way, only the win shows up, and you're not able to play the game. And if you want to replay the game, you just have to click on the green flag again. So the similar thing has to happen here, where we're going to go ahead and make sure that when we lose, we're not able to play the game. Everything stops as well, and you have to click on the green flag in order to replay the game. So what we're going to do is, every place that we've added a when I receive win, I'm just going to zoom in. So for example, we did it for our player. We're going to go ahead and right click and duplicate it. And we're going to change this to lose. That way we have one for winning and we have one for losing. So go through all your different sprites that you've added the when I receive win. You're going to duplicate it and change one to lose. So that would mean all of your enemies, since we don't want them to keep moving. Our players, since we don't want them to keep moving. Like I said, the background is up to you if you want to add it. If you don't, the background is going to keep moving, but you're not able to play the game, so it adds a nice effect. But if you want it to be a still image, then you also want to add it here. The next place we're going to add it is in the shot sprite, since we don't want them to be able to continue shooting. And then we're going to add it to the numbers, that way it doesn't continue changing. And that will be it. So the other thing that we can also do is, inside of our losing screen, we can go ahead and add some sounds to it as well. So to do this is going to be fairly simple. We're just going to add a when I receive green flag, and we're going to change this to lose. Underneath this, we're going to go inside of control, and we're going to add a forever. Inside of the forever, we're going to go into our sounds tab, and we're going to add a set volume that we're going to go ahead and change it to 30 for right now. And then we're going to add a play sound until done. I'm going to go inside of my sound tab, click on choose a sound, and maybe type in lose to see if they have one, and they do. As always, if you don't completely like it, you can always edit it by making it slower, faster, adding a fade in and out, maybe reversing it or making it sound like a robot to really change the sound to be something that you want it to be. Now we're going to go back into our code, and we're going to swap out the sound. And with this, we have our losing screen completed. As always, it's always good to always test out your game and make sure that everything is working. So a nice thing that you can do is you can always start off low. And what I mean by this is you can click on your player sprite. You can set the player health to maybe 10 or 1. That way you're starting off really low and you can lose quicker just to test out that your code is working. You can click on your green flag, click on play the game, and it seemed like it already went down, so that works. And now to make sure that it's completely working, I'm going to set it back to my original health. And as you can see, as it's passing by, it's going down. Okay, so I see that my health is working, my enemies are touching me, and I'm also going down. Able to move. Okay. And there you can see, I end up losing. Okay. So with this, now we know that our code is working. The last thing that I was talking about earlier is, as you can see, my player health is at 100. So I made sure that my enemy, that when it touches it, that is subtracting health, makes sense to it. So what I mean by this is, if my player health is 500 when my enemies are only subtracting 1, it's going to take a very long time before I'm able to reach 0. So unless you're trying to make the game very easy, that's the only reason why that would make sense. But if you want to make it at least semi-hard or challenging, you want to be able to make sure that the health that's being subtracted is a little bit high, just to make it challenging. So just play around with it, test it out to see how you like the game, and see whether or not you want to edit it to make it a little bit easier and relaxing, or a little bit more challenging and a little bit hard.